reports, and they are obviously extremely troubling. First and foremost, our thoughts and prayers are with the victims and their families. We're closely monitoring the situation, and obviously we will make available all of the resources of the federal government.
In America, the talk of another terrorism strike here at home is a daily discussion. It's something we've learned to live with. But to our north, Canada has recently discovered what it's like to be a target. A hit-and-run crash that injured 2 members of the Canadian Armed Forces led to speculation terrorism is at the core. And perhaps we can learn something from how they deal with terrorists and their roaming bands of killers. Let's welcome to MidPoint. She is an associate professor at the University of Waterloo, Canada, specializing in international security, counter-terrorism, and urban security. Veronica Kitchen joins us today on MidPoint. Veronica, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Veronica, first of all, I want to get your impressions on what has happened in Parliament Hill today. A man with a rifle shot a soldier while standing guard at the National War Memorial in downtown Ottawa. The gunman is dead. They have cordoned off the area. The military bases are closed. Is the Canadian response to terrorism thought to be accurate? Is it thought to be a good one? Are they thought to be ready for attacks such as these?
I think the first thing to say is that we really don't know what's gone on here yet on Parliament Hill. There are reports of 3 separate shootings. It seems likely that they're connected, but we don't even know that for sure at the moment. And of course, this also follows 2 days ago's attack on a member of the Canadian Armed Forces, which seems very clearly related to terrorist ideology. That was a young man who was radicalized and who the RCMP had been in contact with for several months. Generally, I would say that I think that the Canadian security agencies and police are ready for this kind of attack. This kind of attack is very hard to predict and very hard to prepare for, or very hard to prevent, because often the perpetrators are either not previously on the radar of police or security agencies, or, as in the case of the perpetrator of the attack in Quebec, are on the radar of security agencies but have not yet done anything that warrants arresting them.
Is Canadian intelligence considered to be accurate, up to snuff, necessary? Because we talk about it so much here in America, and there's been a lot of talk here in the last couple of months, but the fact that American intelligence around the world has been hampered by people such as Edward Snowden, and also government issues as well. So is Canada seen as being as ready as they possibly can be in rooting out these terrorists before the attacks?
I think they are. Canada cooperates very closely with the United States and other members of the Five Eyes intelligence alliance. And of course, revelations by Snowden, the intelligence agencies would say affected everybody and not just the United States. But we do know that the CSIS, the Canadian Security Intelligence Service, has been tracking radicalized individuals. They have been tracking individuals who have left Canada and then who try to return Canada. And the RCMP as well has been tracking approximately 63, they have what they call 63 national security investigations, most of which probably are individuals who left Canada and have returned with the intent of committing violence, or individuals who aspire to leave Canada to commit violence.
We have about a minute left, then we'll take a break and come back. But here in America, there are those people who are always watching, saying we need to be sure that the government is not overreacting, that law enforcement is not overreacting. Are there those also in Canada who would try to keep the government, or try to keep law enforcement back, pull them back, and make sure that civil rights come first and national security comes second, which is the fear of many people here in America?
I don't think it's accurate to say that civil rights need to come second to national security. I think they work hand in hand. I think that by following the rule of law, so for instance, the Minister of Public Safety plans to introduce in Parliament new amendments to the CSIS Act. That's our opportunity as Canadians to have input into the limits of what our security services can do. So I think that as long as we're following the rule of law, we can have national security and civil liberties at the same time.
All right, now I want you to stand by, because we want to talk about that a little bit more often. And also after the break, we deal with the issue of kids and the misspent youth who find solace in becoming terrorists, and what every nation should consider to cut this off at the knees, plus more on what is happening in Canada today. Later this hour, it is time for Catholics around the world to ask themselves some very tough questions about homosexuals and their faith. This is not a time to sit back, relax, and wait for someone else to care for it. It is time for Catholics to make the call. That's my commentary in telling it like it is. That and so much more coming up right here on MidPoint, where every single day we question everything.